Well, Eli, Harsh was saying you guys got some fundamental work in during the break. What were kind of the things that offensively you guys wanted to address with the extra time?
Still focus on ball security, fundamentals of playing the position, each individual position, throwing, catching, route running, focusing on our handoffs, backs path, just the basics. Get back to the basics. Make sure you're sharp on those and ready to finish out the year.
Is it you do a lot of self-evaluation type stuff of your offense during a bye week and kind of evaluate where you're at and what you want to get better at, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you can go back and look at your self-scout and tendencies and things you've done well, things you haven't done well. Where do you need to improve? What are your strengths? What do you continue to do? So had a good week evaluating those things and trying to work on getting better at things that we're not as good as we want to be at.
Anything that stood out to you there when you started looking at it?
Yeah, there's some
that you'd like to share?
No. Nope.
You guys, are you pleased with the progress that you guys have made at times over the season? I mean, the last 2 games, for example, you guys having a lot of sack. It's been over 90 dropbacks since you guys have a lot of sack. Yeah, that's
pretty good. Our coaches have done a really good job focusing on things that we need to get better at, and as a group, we've really tried to improve in areas. Third downs and sacks were areas of focus that our staff and all of us wanted to improve on. In the past 2 games, we were able to do that, and so hopefully that continues moving forward. But there's a lot of things to be proud of.
How helpful is it, obviously, to see the results? Because I think over the first 7 games, you guys were like 35% on third down, and over the last 2, you guys are upwards of like 60% or something.
Yeah, just growth. Players stepping up, making plays. AJ's made some plays. Sean Monster came in and made a couple of big catches on third down. So, guys coming in, making plays and doing their job, and offensive line protecting, quarterback delivering the ball. It's been good.
I think Utah State scored 50 points 3 of the last 4 games, then they get 13 against New Mexico. What are you seeing from that defense?
Very good defense, very multiple. Run around the football, a lot of returning starters. They understand the system that they're running and how to run it, and do a good job.
They got a couple of big turnovers in that game too that were big for them.
Yeah, they had a couple of turnovers, a couple of fourth down stops, a couple of key fourth down stops. And so anytime you're able to do that, you put people in a bad position. And so they're a good defense, pursue the football well, and it'll be a real test.
They kind of shifted a little bit of their schematically a little bit. I think they wanted to maybe get another DB on the field. Is that noticeable? I mean, when you look at them, and it kind of looks like it's maybe paid off a little bit. So. Yeah,
they're trying to be more multiple. That they're playing a odd front defense with a nickel personnel, very similar to what we see, week in and week out. But yeah, it's been really paid off for them. Still really stout. The linebackers, good D line. So. Yeah.
You guys been pretty good on fourth down this year. When you're preparing for those, you kind of set aside a few plays that you want to save for that kind of situation, or you just play it whatever's in front of you and call a play like it's second or third down? Or how do you approach that?
We specifically game plan fourth downs each week, and look at it and make sure we know we have our best calls. In a fourth down situation, you want to have your best call, whether that's versus the specific look you think you're going to get, or whether that's the best call that your team can execute. And so that's what we try to do each and every week, and it's very well thought out, and our staff does a good job.
What's made you guys successful in those situations, particularly lately? It seems like you guys have been pretty good there.
Execution. Players executing at a high level when the time's called on them. Jake Hardy executed with a great catch and finished in the end zone. And so Holden executed with a great catch against Hawaii. And, I think that's the biggest key.
How big are those offensively for you guys to convert one? I mean, it seems like it leads to a touchdown a lot of times when you're able to convert those.
It just puts momentum on your side. I think it deflates the defense knowing that they had an opportunity to get off the field, and now they got to play at least 3 more plays. And we've been able to get some big plays on fourth downs. We've been able to just get base plays on fourth downs too. It's just, I think we've done a pretty nice job at mixing it up and keeping the defense off balance.
Going back to the UNLV game, J-Max had pretty good ball security throughout his career, but he had that pretty costly fumble in that game.
Real costly.
How did you? I mean, he missed that next drive. Was that just coincidental, and how did you see him bounce back?
Everybody's got to value the football, and there's a value that's placed on it, and we all know it. It's all about the football. So we got to take care of the ball, and if that's not a high priority, then then somebody else is going to get an opportunity to show us how much they prioritize the football. So he bounced back well. I thought he had a good second half, ran really hard, and just got to focus on that. I think sometimes guys get so amped up on trying to make plays or doing more than they should that they forget the number one thing is ball security.
Definitely seems like, I know you guys have used Kelsey and J-Mac for the most part in that 1-2 punch, but it definitely seems like over the last 2 games that's kind of a combo that you settled on there. But just
yeah, we just feel really good about those two guys, and they've performed well and understand protections, and they're playing at a high level, and so we're not trying to rock the boat too much. We're 9 games in. We feel pretty good about what we know about each individual and where we feel like they can help us, and people are still stepping up, but once you feel pretty good about something, you try to stay with it.
What concerns you the most about New Mexico's defense?
They're really good. They pressure a lot. We faced a pressure team like this, a few games ago, and it gave us some real issues. And so that, to me, always flashes in my mind when I see that much pressure and that much diversity on defense. And when it comes down to that, you got to win one-on-one matchups on the perimeter. You got to be accurate at the quarterback position when you throw the football. You got to block very well, and at the offensive line, and running backs got to make people miss. And so it's going to be a big big test for us. But that's what concerns you the most, is just their aggressive nature on defense.
One of the things Ben Weaver was saying, important during a bye week to maintain your focus and work hard even though it's a bye week. How did you see the guys kind of approach that week, and you feel like you're able to keep that momentum offensively through the bye?
I think we did. We had a really good practice. We had 3 practices, and guys were focused. And again, you're working on fundamentals, and so. But we'll know a lot more tomorrow when we come out there. I thought we had a good one last night, just getting back and getting everybody back around, and there was some pep in their step, and so we'll be good.
You mentioned the pep in the step. You guys were talking about going 1-0 every week, but realistically, you needed some help to get back to having a chance at your goal, and you got some help the last couple of weeks. Is there a new sense of optimism or an extra energy around the facility the last couple of days? All that stuff about needing help or whatever, I don't know. At the end of the year, after the season, that's when they determine how everything plays out. All the stuff, it's a long season. You play 12 games. Everybody has to play 12 games. And so in your hands, not in your hands, control your own, I don't know about all that. All I know is that you got to win your games that are played in front of you. And then at the end of the season, everybody shows their cards. This is how many we got. This is how many you got. And then we determine stuff. So, I really don't get caught up in all that other stuff. I've been around too long. We won the conference championship at Arkansas State. We were down 2 games, and they lost. The team we were going against lost the next 2. So you just never know how it all happens in this day and age. So we're focused on what we can control, which is New Mexico, and that's it. And that's really it. And then after that, we'll see what else we have to do or what else has to happen. But control or not control, I think it comes down to, at the end of the season, everybody looks at what they got and you figure out where you're at. So
I think after the UNLV game, you and Hurst both mentioned that Jake Rowe's been kind of quietly playing through, pretty banged up, and obviously made a big play there in that one catch. How much has that affected him through the first couple months of the season?
I don't know if he's been banged. I think he just played the course of 9 games, and playing very physical in trenches, and probably wasn't any more beat up than the rest of the guys. But he's played at a high level. Very pleased with him and the tight end position, all of them. So, but no, I don't think he's. I think he just was sore,
When you guys do grind almost every day for 3.5 months straight, what does just a couple of days off do for the guys?
I think mentally it helps you as much as anything. Physically, it's good, but mentally to get away from it, get recharged, refreshed, just take a deep breath and then get back up, ready to go. But the 2 days off, I don't know if that physically changes anything, but I think the mindset changes. You feel fresher, you feel refocused, you feel re-energized, and I think that's the biggest key. you know, a lot of these guys got to go home and see family and see friends. And when you're playing in this season, a lot of them hadn't been home or you know, been in slept in their own beds since the end of July, you know, and so it's a long time. And some of them didn't get to go home, and they're not going to get to go home until after a bowl game or whatever, you know. So that's God, I know BJ, he got to go home to St. Louis just last week or something like that. These guys don't get to do that.
Jay went to Seattle.
Jay went to Seattle. You know,
He stayed in Vegas and hung out.
glad you stayed in Vegas for a week. I mean, these guys, they come back to work. They got to go to class, you know, and it's a different deal. It's hard. Playing college football it's difficult for student athletes. It's not easy, you know, and I think sometimes we forget that.
I know it's not a stat that necessarily translates into wins and losses or anything like that, but it's been, I want to say, 5 years since Boise State's had a 3,000-yard passer, a 1,000-yard rusher, and a 1,000-yard receiver. And curious your balance that you guys obviously created there, and I mean, it obviously means that you guys have, you know, 3 pretty dynamic playmakers, I guess, at those positions.
Are we there yet?
Not there yet, pretty close.
I have no idea. You know, I will say we strive for balance, and that would be a great thing for us if it helps us accomplish our goals. But you know, we're striving for balance. Obviously, we've got, you know, some really good football players, but I didn't know those stats. You know, I didn't. At least I hadn't been thinking about those stats. But be really good if we can continue to stay balanced and continue to push to get to those things. You know, it's always good when you can run and throw the ball, keep defenses honest.
I know we talked to you plenty of times about Thomas Spurbeck, but I mean, he kind of had a historic month of October. I mean, the kid led the NCAA in receiving yards, and he also kind of, I just go back to the last catch he made, he's kind of pulling himself up off the ground. I mean, I'm assuming he felt the effects of playing 9 straight weeks as well.
Probably felt the effects of catching all those passes and run all those yards. Yeah, he's a good player, you know, and he definitely had a really good month. You know, he's a guy that really works hard. Thomas really works hard. Had a great summer. Coach Pitt did a really good job of getting him stronger and faster, and Coach Adams does a great job developing him into a wide receiver. And he's made the most of his opportunities. I mean, a lot of those catches haven't been easy, and he's done a really good job.
You mentioned the pressure you'll see from New Mexico, the fact that you know, the offensive line has a lot of sack the last couple of games. How do you feel about the line and where they're at right now?
I feel good about, you know, where they're at and the way they played last week. I mean, it's going to be different. You know, last week was going to be a challenge just because you lost Reese and you're plugging new people in and you're moving people from side to side, and it's always different. And I thought those guys played probably their best game of the year as a collective group last week or 2 weeks ago against UNLV. And so I feel like we're in a good situation. We're in a good spot. Again, you know, you got to continue to prove that each and every week. And, you know, if you have a good week and don't have one the next Saturday, then everybody forgets about the good ones. So those guys will continue to work hard. Coach Huff is a really good offensive line coach, and he really knows what he's doing, and he's getting the most out of those guys. And it's been a interesting, you know, season, just with all the different lineup changes we've had to make and all the things we've had to work through from the start of the summer and or start of fall camp with Marcus and all that different deal. And I think we're finally getting into a little groove, and hopefully we'll continue to do that for the last 3.
You talk about, you know, just at this point in the season, you just kind of know your players and what their capabilities are better. When it comes down to you and Brett, how has that relationship continued to grow, and how much do you guys kind of continue to benefit from time together? And it sounds like you responded to a challenge against New Mexico, so maybe you kind of know how to, you know, push those buttons and whatnot.
You know, I think we're all learning each other pretty well, and we've got a really good dynamic with Coach Harsin being on the sideline, being able to communicate with him, and me being in the box. And you know, we're figuring out each other, and you know, I think there's an anticipation if he knows what I'm fixing to call, and I kind of know what he's comfortable with, and so it's been good. He's a really good football player. He's very smart, very intelligent, a guy who works hard, puts in the extra time in the film room to understand what looks he's fixing to see, and so we got to continue to grow, and this week's going to be a tremendous challenge. This is a defense that gives you multiple looks, and you're going to have to be able to make some adjustments and figure out exactly where you want to attack them. And so, you know, he's going to need all the experience that he's had and use it against these guys.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Eli. Well, I